Chargers. Today what we're going to do is continue our lesson on fractional rates. As always, I'd like you to draw your Cornell line and then draw your title, Fractional Rate Word Problems. All of this in the middle is review, so we don't need to write that. We're just building on what we did yesterday. So as a review, ratios are proportional if they represent the same unit rate. Also, when you see a table, you should recognize it as a group of ratios that are just organized in one place. Finally, when we find the unit rate, we can do so by simplifying or dividing the ratios. Let's move into our first example. Keep in mind that I need you to write down everything that is covered by an orange box and all the computations that we do. My pen is your pen. If you need more time at any point, please pause the video. Okay, our first example. Steve purchased 13/20 of a pound of potatoes for $1.75. What is the price per pound of potatoes? So here I see price per pound, which means that I'm looking for my unit rate, price per 1 pound. So, how would I do this? First of all, like always, we write our number, our price, and our pound underneath those words. So we have our price, $1.75, and pound. And for the per, we're just putting our ratio sign for now. Now, since I want 1 pound, I need to get rid of this 13/20 and make it a 1. So if you remember from yesterday, the way to make a fraction into a 1 is to multiply it by its inverse, or a flipped fraction. So I'm going to multiply this by 20/13, the opposite, or inverse. Now, if I multiply it on one side, on the right side, I also need to multiply that on the left side. So both sides of the fraction will be multiplied by 20/13. Very good. Now I already said 13/20 times 20/13 is going to simplify and equal 1. So that's going to be 1 pound. This side, though, my denominator will stay my denominator, and 20 times 175 is what will be my numerator. That's going to end up being $35 over 13 is in proportion to 1 pound. So we're still looking for our unit rate. We have to divide this out. So let's do that. Keep in mind that what I do is what you do. So I'm going to put 35 in the inside. I'm going to put 13 on the outside. 13 goes into 35 2 times. I'm going to subtract 26. I know I'm going to get 9 left over. Since I already added my decimals, I can now add a 0 and bring it down. Keep in mind that what I do on my paper is what you should do on your paper. 13 goes into 90 how many times? 6. And 6 times 13 is 78. $90 minus 78 is 12. I get one more 0. How many times does 13 go into 120? I know the answer is 9. And that's going to equal 117. And 120 minus 117 is 3. Now let's stop here and check. What is my unit up here? It's actually dollars. So since I'm looking for dollars, I don't need to go past 2 decimal points. So $2.69 is an acceptable answer, even though I have a remainder of 3 down here. So, let's see what we have. Very good. $2.69 is the per pound. So all we really did is find our unit rate with a fraction in it. It was just as easy as that. Let's try our next example. Though if you need more time to copy down, please pause the video now. Okay, example 2. What is the better buy? A 12-ounce box of cereal for $2.99 or a 32-ounce box of cereal for $8.39? Here, I can tell that we're going to need to do 2 different computations. One for our 12-ounce box and the second for our 32-ounce box. And we're going to have to see which one is a better buy. First things first. I write my cost per ounce because that's what I'm looking for. I can put my numbers underneath it, $2.99 to 12 ounces. Now since it's cost per ounce, it's 1 ounce. How do I get 12 to be a 1? Well, I need to divide by 12. So if I divide by 12 on one side, I need to divide by 12 on the other. Perfect. So this is just set up for me to do my division. Okay, very good. So, how many times does 12 go into 2? 0 times. Keep in mind that what I do, my pen is your pen, so what I do, you should also do. How many times does 12 go into 29? 2. $29 minus 24 is 5. I can bring down my 9. 12 goes into 59 4 times. And again, we could continue on with this problem because we do have a remainder with the fact that we're using dollars, or in this case cents. We don't need to continue. So our cost per ounce for the $2.99 box is 24 cents. Let's see how that compares with our other box. We're looking for the same thing, cost per ounce. So under cost, we're going to put $8.39 right here. And under ounce, we're going to put 32 ounces. This should be on your paper. The next thing I'm going to do is divide those. How am I going to divide it and by what? Well, if I want per 1 ounce, I have to get 32 all the way to 1. How would I do that? I would divide by 32 on both sides. What I do on the right side, I must do on the left. So, divide by 32 on both sides. Again, this is just set up for me to do my division. What I do, you do. How many times does 32 go into 8? 0. Decimal point, next most important part. How many times does 32 go into 83? The answer is 2. And 2 times 32 is 64. When I subtract those, I'm going to get 19. Now I know these are big numbers, but that doesn't mean that they're impossible to find. It just means it's a little different than what we've been practicing. How many times does 32 go into 199? The answer is 6. You can just as easily add 32 several times and find what you're doing. It's not too hard. Now 6 times 32 is 192. But since we know that we are working in dollars and cents, that's all we need to do. Okay, now let's go back to our question. We have our 2 unit rates for our 2 different boxes. The question was, what is a better buy? As in, which one is cheaper? A 12-ounce box of cereal for $2.99 or a 13-ounce box of cereal for $8.39? Think to yourself, what is the better buy? If you answered the $2.99 box for 12 ounces, you are absolutely correct. We can tell that it's a better buy because the unit rate is a lower cost, has a cheaper cost per ounce, whereas this one, even though it's 2 more cents, it is still more expensive. So with that, we are ready to do our practice today. Pay attention, write all of your units, and you'll do great.